And so I now have the pleasure of bringing on the mentor of Black America's Attorney General, the fount of this, Reverend Al Sharpton, who is for 4 decades a central figure in the U.S. struggle for racial justice from the streets to the Senate, a civil rights leader, founder of the National Action Network, and of course, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that I'm going to be very personal in the sense that I came to the UN 30-some-odd years ago with a great African leader. I was part of the delegation with Nelson Mandela when he addressed the General Assembly about sanctions in South Africa. I come many times since then, and I'm here today because I believe another great African leader, President Muhammad, is raising an issue that is very important and personal to us. As Attorney Crump has said, we have fought on many cases, and we have I'm doing a eulogy tomorrow, day after tomorrow, of a young man killed in Hartford, Connecticut. But all of these are just examples of a systemic problem that has not been dealt with. We can keep running from incident to incident, but if we do not deal with the underlying systematic problem, and that is that there are those that feel they have the right and the supremacy over other humans, and they will never be held accountable for it and never pay for it. This resolution is an attendance sheet on what nations stand for what. This is not a new call. I come out of the Martin Luther King School of Thought, but Malcolm X said we may have to go to the UN. One of his main disciples, Dr. James Smalls, is with us. Queen Mother Moore said this. Queen Mother Blakely's here. Sister, I don't come with others that have not. Sister Salam. These are people that have been in the streets for decades. And State Senator Sanders, all of us, but many of them preceding me. The question is not what the people feel. The people have stated their feelings and will continue to and must galvanize. The question is, what do nations stand for? When I hear nations saying they're going to abstain from a vote, how do you abstain from being a racist and a bigot? How do you abstain from paying your debt to people that you worked for centuries and never paid? How do you abstain from the guilt and the blood that's on your hands while you deposit money in banks that your forefathers didn't earn and our forefathers worked and never got paid? Your Excellency, I say it's personal because in 2007, a reporter came to me from a local tabloid, the Daily News, and said that they were doing something around Black History Month in America. And they wanted to do a trace of our family tree. I told him, fine with me. He said, I'll be back. He came back with another reporter. He said, do you know your great-grandfather? I said, no, I knew my grandfather on my father's side. I didn't know my great-grandfather. He said, well, we traced him. He said, do you know where he was from? I said, they were from Florida, my grandfather and my father. He said, no, they were from Edgefield, South Carolina. I said, no, I never knew.
You're lying.
He said, your great-grandfather was named Coleman Sharpton, and he was owned by a woman named Anna Thurman Sharpton. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurmond, a leading segregationist. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurmond, a leading segregationist.
It's Wednesday.
The reason we found it is that when Alexander
March
Sharpton died,
25th.
his widow Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And a good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call in and be heard nationwide, every state and every region of the country. All you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. 5797, or you can go on our message board and send a message on the message board, and I will read as many of them as I can on the message board. And in fact, some are already there. James Thomas is on the message board saying, "Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and happy Witness Warrior Wednesday to all of the chat room." And let me send a shout out to Emily Gregory for winning the special election in Florida. Trump loses again. Now, when he says Emily Gregory, this is a Democrat that won the local legislative seat where Mar-a-Lago is. Trump had won that district over and over again, Republican district, even in Mar-a-Lago's county. They're voting against Trump. The Democrat won, the Republican lost, and the Republican was supported by Trump. I'm telling you, I like that Witness Warrior Wednesday. This is, can I get a witness? And I need a warrior, because you that are ready to fight can fight. Everybody talking about, oh, they got it. They ain't got nothing. I'll tell you a little secret between me and you. They didn't have it in 2024. We gave it to them. If we had showed up in the numbers we had, Kamala Harris would be finishing her first year and a half in office as president. We gave it to them. A lot of us don't want to admit it. A lot of us want to duck it. But we gave it to them. She got more votes than anybody that ran for president in the history of the country. I'm talking about back to George Washington. The only one that got more votes than her was Donald Trump. So there's nothing wrong with her candidacy. If we had just turned out a few more million votes, which we had in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and other places, we'd have turned it around. But we let, y'all know I'm going to keep it real. That's why I named the program that 20 years ago as we started. We let them talk us into defeat. Oh, they can't beat it. Oh, we can't go with a woman. Oh, they went and did black male talk along in smoke shops, smoking cigars, drinking cognac. Oh, I ain't making this up. They went on tour, Byron Donalds and them, who's a black guy running for governor now, Trump's candidate in Florida. And they did a tour where they sit and have cognac and cigars and talk male talk to voters. That was their national black male strategy. Now, we went on Get Out the Vote tour, nonpartisan, and all over the country. We was in churches and community centers and colleges. They didn't want that because they knew that if they can just get a percentage of black men to either vote for Trump or not vote for Kamala, they could win. And they did. And now you got, I hope some of the black men that voted for Trump is listening, because now you got higher black unemployment. All of you that want to go in business, your contracts will not be picked up because they ended DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's where the contracts would come through to minority businesses. So you're not going to have that. And you might be standing on line at an airport. But even if you don't have the money to fly, you might have to dig deep in your pocket to pay for gas. That's what you voted for. And you might not have enough money for the bottle of cognac now. I mean, how's somebody going to buy you against Affordable Care Act, which is now expired? So your premiums on health insurance for you, your mama, your kids is going up. It's already going up. They got ICE folks at the airports, and they do not want to pass the bill that would say we'll fund the TSA officers at the airport, but we need to deal with, we will reform and meet to get a compromise reform on ICE agents. Republicans said, no, you got to give us all of it. We're going to keep ICE agents as they are, even though they killed 2 people in Minneapolis. It's crazy. And we're not even calling our senators and putting pressure on them. Crazy. But that's where we are. And I think that we need to be real. So a lot to talk about, like I said, 1-877-532-5797. Isaiah Brunson is on the message board. And Isaiah is saying, I like your speech at the UN yesterday, and you mentioned Professor James Small and other people. Yeah, in my speech, I acknowledged Professor Small because what I said, we got to get out of this disunity. People calling everybody names. If you don't agree with them, they too radical, or if they don't agree with you, you're a sellout. We up against real enemies. And what I said was that I come out of the Martin Luther King Jr. School of Thought. I grew up boy preacher and then joined Breadbasket, which was Dr. King's economic arm when I was 12, the year he died. But it was Malcolm X. I didn't come out of the Malcolm X school, but certainly was aware of him. Was in a town he was more popular than Dr. King. You got to remember, when I was growing up, it wasn't popular in New York to be talking about Dr. King. Nonviolent, protest, turn the other cheek. Everybody went to school with me thought that was being like a punk. But it was what I believed coming out of my background as a boy preacher. And so I gave credit in my speech. Malcolm X said, we can take this to the UN. And some of his followers, his main followers, Professor James Small and Queen Mother Moore, who's the one who got me as a teenager talking about reparations, who was a nationalist. Queen Mother Blakely was there. Yusef Salam's mother was there. They was in order. They didn't even know I saw them. Hundreds of people at the UN. Because you don't lose nothing giving credit to people that fought. The difference between being vain and proud and being stupid. There's nothing wrong with having a little pride in what you do. But it's just outright stupid to act like everything rotates around you. If I get a mic and I see people that have paid dues, whether they were in my lane or not, whether they did my kind of movement or not, I'm going to give them credit because they didn't have to do. Most of us didn't do nothing. So the ones that did, even if they did it in a different way, different strategy, different style than me, I give them credit because they did something that I benefited from, and so did you. Well, were you with Martin or Malcolm? We needed both of them. That's why at the end of the day, both of them was assassinated at 39 years old, and their wives were close. I've got a picture of one of the great photos of my archives is a picture with me with Dr. Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King, me standing in the middle. And y'all, 40 years later, still arguing about something, and both of their wives understood we need each other. So it does not take nothing away from today or from me to talk about Brother Malcolm, even though I grew up in the other camp, or Queen Mother Moore. Queen Mother Moore would come to our rallies. She said, I ain't into all of this church stuff, but y'all meet in the school and these are black people. Show us some love till she died. Dr. Ben would be at every Saturday Action rally. He said, I don't believe in Christianity, but I believe Sharpton is being sincere. He came so much we had a Dr. Ben chair till he died. And Dr. Ben Joachim. That's how we got to be. Because when they divide us, they conquer us. All right, it is Witness Warrior Wednesday. I'm going to take that. I like that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm going to open up the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Breaking news. The issues.
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone Troy, you see him?
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. He said he was a communist.
Wow.
Jack O'Dell and Stanley Leverson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movie would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be an educator, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Yes. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yes. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. Yes. We thank for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. Yes. We thank
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. We are in critical times. Healthcare premiums are going up, oil and gas going up, all kinds of things that are costing us what we are comfortable to or what we were getting by. That's why I am asking you to be at the National Action Network Convention, where we're going to have leading political figures, leading civil rights leaders, leading activists, leading faith leaders, leading youth activists convene at the National Action Network Convention, April the 8th through the 11th, where we are going to strategize hear the plenary sessions, question, and come out with how we back up this whole retrenchment of our rights and our ability to live. It's not just about rhetoric. It's about a strategy and get results. That's why we in National Action Network have always been on the front line, and we need you with us more now than ever. To register, all of our sessions are free. All of our sessions are free. To register, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Don't worry about how tough they are. Worry about how tough we must become. We never had a victory without a fight. It's time to strategize and fight back.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Voting rights. Everyone look here.
Say it again, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights. Voting rights.
One more time, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
There we go.
Voting rights.
Voting rights!
Voting rights.
Voting rights!
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
When do we need it?
Now.
Yesterday.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
What's going on in Brooklyn at that time? At Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
My brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And we are taking your calls. What we calling it Witness and Warrior Wednesday. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on the message board, as James Mitchell is on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And live stream, Mitchell is saying, on this 25th day of Women's History Month, I salute Lena Horne. Even though her beauty and talent opened doors closed to many, she never forgot where she came from. Hats off to her. Lena Horne was a giant. I agree wholeheartedly. Roderick McCoy is saying food, gas, insurance, utilities, etc. are all rising. Do you black and white Trump supporters still believe he's going to make America great again? Good question. All right, by way of announcements, let me tell you, make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And I'm going to have some surprises for you. You're going to want to come both nights. Of course, the No Kings March is on Saturday. I'm speaking at the one in Manhattan after the Saturday rally in Harlem. And I'm going to have some of the leaders of that and some of the celebrity types. You're going to want to watch Politics Nation on Saturday at 5 and Sunday at 5 on MS Now. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. We are at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, 137th between Lenox and 5th. We'll be there another few weeks. We are finishing up what we need to finish up for our permanent building right there in Harlem. Be there with me, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the historic Mother AME Zion Church. Church Frederick Douglass spoke at, and a church that's at the altar, Sojourner Truth, changed the name from her slave name to Sojourner Truth. She's a member of that church. Paul Robeson was a member. His brother was one of the pastors. On and on and on. See, Madam C.J. Walker's funeral was there. So we are on historic holy ground as far as I'm concerned as we make this transition. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Meet me there. And then I'm going down in the afternoon to join the No Kings March. I think we need, all of us need to be diverse there. People talk about, well, I don't see a lot of black folks in it. Well, we need to be in it. We need to be in anything that's against standing up for the people that are taking health care from us and other things. So I'm supporting it. And going to be there. Also, the National Action Network Convention, it starts on April the 8th all the way to the 11th. And I can tell you it is going to be enlightening and important. Many of our officials that you hear about may be running for president, may be doing other things, will be speaking. I've already put out a partial list, but there's more to come. But I can tell you Governor Pritzker of Illinois will be there. Governor Westmore of Maryland will be there. Governor Beshear of Kentucky will be there. Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania will be there. Michael Eric Dyson is doing our Scholars of Intellect panel. Pete Buttigieg will be there. Martin Luther King III, always there. He'll be with us. Congressman Al Green. And the list goes on. You can come be there. It is free. All you have to do is register at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number at 1-877-532-5797. Let me go to our live line. I did not know we had it up. I'm glad to see that. We had the president of the Human Rights Campaign, the first largest black queer women to lead the nation's largest LGBTQ civil rights organization, veterans community organizer, and she will be a part of the No Kings March, as I will, taking place this Saturday. I'm talking about Sister Kelly Robinson. How you doing, Kelly?
I am good, and I'm ready to march and be in these streets, Reverend.
I know that's right. Tell us why it is important that people come out on No Kings, on the No Kings March this Saturday.
Look, we got to be unified. I'm convinced that this administration thinks that we're stupid. They don't think that we see the whole war that's playing out in front of us. They don't think that we see ICE agents on our streets terrorizing us, health care prices going up, gas prices going up, everything going up, up, up. So we got to come out together and let them know that we see clearly what's happening and we are not going to stand for it. So these marches all across the country are giving everybody a chance, no matter where you live, no matter if you've never protested before, to show up and be a part of something and make sure our voices are heard.
And I think that what you're saying and emphasizing by all of us, it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Latino, Asian, LGBTQ, straight, all of us do not need to be silent when they're making this man a king and he's declared war on all of us, Kelly.
That's exactly right. Look.
I think we lost him.
More about her kid finishing his vegetables than whether or not he makes it to the next day. We are just trying to survive. And that's why it's important that all of us show up, because at the end of the day, if they can take some of our civil rights away, they can take them away from every single one of us. So we got to make sure that we show up as a unified front, because what happens to some of us is going to impact all of us.
Now, is there a website or something people can go to find out where the march is in their city?
Yeah, they can. Look, you can even just go on Google and Google No Kings Near Me, and it'll show you the marches that are happening in your area. But nokings.org also has all the information for folks to find out. And look, like I said, just make sure that you show up. Make sure you follow organizations like the Human Rights Campaign if you're looking for folks to meet up ahead of time. But it's so important that folks show up and show out. And yeah, nokings.org, or even just going into Google and putting No Kings Near Me, and the marches by you will show up.
And we need to be there. I will not only be there, I'm supporting it and pushing it, and I'm joining Sister Kelly Robinson and a host of others. No Kings March this Saturday. Thank you, Kelly. Let's take a break. I'll be back right after the break. Keeping it real, Sharpton. Be right back. Dallas.
And so I now have the pleasure of bringing on the mentor of Black America's Attorney General, the fount of this, Reverend Al Sharpton, who is for 4 decades a central figure in the U.S. struggle for racial justice, from the streets to the Senate, a civil rights leader, founder of the National Action Network, and of course, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that I'm going to be very personal in the sense that I came to the UN 30-some-odd years ago with a great African leader. I was part of the delegation with Nelson Mandela when he addressed the General Assembly about sanctions in South Africa. I come many times since then, and I'm here today because I believe another great African leader, President Muhammad, is raising an issue that is very important and personal to us. As Attorney Crump has said, we have fought on many cases, and I'm doing a eulogy tomorrow, day after tomorrow, of a young man killed in Hartford, Connecticut. But all of these are just examples of a systemic problem that has not been dealt with. We can keep running from incident to incident, but if we do not deal with the underlying systematic problem, and that is that there are those that feel they have the right and the supremacy over other humans, and they will never be held accountable for it and never pay for it. This resolution is an attendance sheet on what nations stand for what. This is not a new call. I come out of the Martin Luther King School of Thought, but Malcolm X said we may have to go to the UN. One of his main disciples, Dr. James Smalls, is with us. Queen Mother Moore said this. Queen Mother Blakely's here. Sister, I don't come with others that have not. Sister Salam. These are people that have been in the streets for decades. And State Senator Sanders, all of us, but many of them preceding me. The question is not what the people feel. The people have stated their feelings and will continue to and must galvanize. The question is, what do nations stand for? When I hear nations saying they're going to abstain from a vote, how do you abstain from being a racist and a bigot? How do you abstain from paying your debt to people that you worked for centuries and never paid? How do you abstain from the guilt and the blood that's on your hands while you deposit money in banks that your forefathers didn't earn and our forefathers worked and never got paid? Your Excellency, I say it's personal because in 2007, a reporter came to me from a local tabloid, the Daily News, and said that they were doing something around Black History Month in America. And they wanted to do a trace of our family tree. I told him, fine with me. He said, I'll be back. He came back with another reporter. He said, do you know your great-grandfather? I said, no, I knew my grandfather on my father's side. I didn't know my great-grandfather. He said, well, we traced him. He said, do you know where he was from? I said, they were from Florida, my grandfather and my father. He said, no, they were from Edgefield, South Carolina. I said, no, I never knew that. He said, your great-grandfather was named Coleman Sharpton, and he was owned by a woman named Anna Thurman Sharpton. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurman, a leading segregationist. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurman, a leading segregationist. He said the reason we found it is that when Alexander Sharpton died, his widow, Anna Thurman, sold her slaves to Florida, who was your great-grandfather. That's only 3 generations from me. We talk about this stuff like this is some bygone generation. My mother had to sit in the back of the bus and couldn't help me with homework when she came to Brooklyn, New York, had me. I never sat in the back of a bus, but I was raised by them that never got paid for what was done. We are sitting in the United Nations, but it is in the United States where they're right now deciding whether they will continue to allow us to vote properly. They're going to vote on whether or not we are going to have our right to voting, our right to redress. And if the United Nations sends a resounding message on the president's resolution that we don't care about the debt owed, you are signaling those that are trying to trump the world that you can do whatever you want to do to us. So my challenge is, and the experts have given the great background, and the preceding speakers have given the facts, but my appeal is that you will not define our humanity. You will define where you stand for humanity. When you vote for your nation, history will record that after the genocide perpetrated on people, after the worst form of abuse that we've seen in terms of the slave trade that is in this resolution, that if your nation would authorize you to either vote no or have laryngitis and act like you can't speak up at all, then you are co-signing this brutal form of slavery. There will be nobody that will duck being called on the carpet tomorrow. Either you stand for justice or you sit with the unrighteous. Either you stand... Either you stand for justice or you are part of the problem. Either you stand for those that want to be free or you're just as bad as
Keeping
the
it
slave
real.
master
Keeping
that
it
held
real.
us
I'm
bound.
your host,
Thank you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And you know, as we deal with when Kelly Robinson was just on with the No Kings March that we're all a part of, when you look at the fact that Trump said that the Iran war is almost over, they sent me a nice gift. Then Iran comes out and says, we don't even know what he's talking about. And that we've been talking to intermediaries, there is no progress. Then you see that the stock market went up when he said it, then it goes down when reality cuts in. And he said it right before the stock market opens, so it's manipulating something. Some people saying they need to check out to see if some of his friends were making money off the stock rise and knowing it was going to fall, because it would be clear that what he's saying is not the case. Now, the ceasefire proposal that they did come with is not a lot different than what they came with before, and it says that Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, says it will only end the war on its own terms, refusing negotiation for now and calling the U.S. proposal excessive while continuing military operations. And Iran has laid out demands that they stop the attacks and the assassinations. They've killed a lot of their supreme commanders, including the supreme leader. Halt fighting across allied fronts, and a recognition of Iran's authority over the Strait of Hormuz. That's their strait, they're saying. So it's going to be interesting where that goes. Also very interesting how chipping away at Trump's alleged power, when you see Emily Gregory, a Democratic woman, beat Jean Maples 51 to 49%, beat him by 2% in the district that Mar-a-Lago's in. And always goes Republican. They flip. I'm telling you, they can win this midterm if we get up and do it. And another problem, you got the whole question of the government shutdown, partial shutdown, TSA workers on their third week without getting paid, while they got ICE agents in the airports being paid who has no background in how to deal with screening and all of that. lot going on, and you and I need to be on top of it. I also, tomorrow, I talked briefly about this young man had a mental health issue. His family called the police in Hartford, Connecticut. Police came to the scene, was talking to him. He had a knife in his hand. They felt he was going to hurt himself. They tried to talk him out of it. As they was talking to him, he was, according to all reports, calming down. Another police officer pulls up and shoots him, kills him 9 times. I'm going to do the eulogy at his funeral tomorrow. Do not think police brutality is over. And the other thing is the threat to our voting rights. Trump consistently says, I went through this morning on Morning Joe, that he will not sign any laws, make any compromise till they pass the SAVE Act, which is set up to limit our vote. They're saying they want to change it. SAVE Act says, change, you got to prove citizenship to vote. But it's not just prove citizenship, because a lot of people say, what's wrong with that? You must do it with a birth certificate, and most of us, including me, don't know where our birth certificate is. And if you got married, your birth certificate does not have your married name unless you got married in the maternity ward when you were born, and I doubt that. Or a passport. Well, many people don't have passports. They don't travel international. So why would they have a passport? And they're going to spend $160, $170 to get a passport? Well, if you're on fixed income, that's a poll tax. The other thing that I thought was interesting is the report leaked out from the Justice Department that the reason Donald Trump had classified papers in his house is because some of the things he did benefited his business and his businesses, and he didn't want that out. He had certain classified information that apparently he was able to exploit with his businesses. It's according to the Justice Department, and it's leaked out. Very interesting. Also, let me tell you this, and I'm going to the phone. Isn't it interesting that in the SAVE Act and its parts that they emanates out of it, they're saying they want to end mail-in voting? Now, mail-in voting, been no fraud, been no problem. They want to end mail-in voting. But guess what? The other day, in the election that they lost in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump voted mail-in. He didn't go to the precinct or the booth to vote. He used mail-in voting. But he just thinks, I do what I want to do. Y'all do what I tell you. All right, let's go to the phones. Let me go to the start in Cincinnati, Ohio with Still Bill. Still Bill at the Buzz. You're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Good afternoon, Reverend.
Good afternoon.
You are in rare form. With the gas prices and everything going sky high, courtesy of Donald Trump, you know, you gave us an alternative to talk about as far as women's history. I do salute our women, especially our black women, past and present. And there's such people as Diane Carroll, Bernadette Stannis, who played Thelma on Good Times, Leslie Uggams, and especially people like LaToya Jackson. However, you touched a topic on both Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I admired both of them extremely, but there was some points that I had hard to struggle with. But the strong points I'm going to talk about. Malcolm, I admired his aggressiveness, where it was a thing where if you was trying to put a noose over his neck, he would do whatever it took to keep you from putting that noose over his neck. Okay? Plain and simple. Martin, on the other hand, he was a peacemaker, okay? I agree with some things and all that. But, you know, I mean, it's a thing where next month will be April 4th. I would say about the 50-something year of his assassination. And I am so glad that I do not see that on the calendar where it said King assassination in the past. That really disturbed me. But, you know, it's a thing where with George Floyd's murder and the protests and everything behind it, I think that it was the fact that it was removed, and I was relieved. But, you know, like I said, I admire both of their integrity and, you know, the fact that they were all about, you know, making equality, especially with King, making everything equal with everybody. So I'm going to cut it short, but you know what? It was a pleasure talking to your daughter last Wednesday. You know, I helped get the show started.
Oh, okay.
So I want to, yeah. So you were missed, but you know, like I said, it's a pleasure always to come on this show. And to Dominique, I will keep it real.
All right. Thank you for the call. Let me go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira.
Hey, good evening, Brother Al. Thanks for taking my call on WWW Day. I just got two brief things I want to talk about. I did see an article this morning. It's something about it says coming soon false flags that Trump will create a fake incident on American soil to blame Iran. This false flag will be used to declare martial law before the 2026 midterm election Trump has tried to steal. But I understand that there's just some craziness that's going to go on with him. But another article, I know that's good, but the other article I got, this gentleman, you might have heard of him, called Jeff Webb. He was a mentor to Charlie Kirk. He dies at 76, and they just memorialize him and do all kind of things about him. But, you know, you didn't hear nobody from us people saying we're glad that he died or this, that, and the other, although he wasn't a really well-liked character and he didn't play fair with black folks, but he died in a pickleball accident. So I'm just saying, we had more sense than that. We didn't go saying we're glad he died. He's only 76. And we didn't say that. So that's just so we got more sense and character than this boy here.
Are you referring to when Trump said that he was glad that Mueller died? I mean, he put this in writing.
Correct.
So you couldn't say he misquoted. He wrote that on his Truth Social page that he is glad that FBI Director Mueller died over the weekend. And I mean, every time I think he's gone as low as you can, he goes a little lower. That's just low down. A lot of people I fought with politically, a lot of people tried to come at me even legally, been prosecuted and all. I don't wish them dead. And if I did, I would be too respectful of their bereaved family to say that. I mean, you got to be a vicious person to even think like that.
Right. And the last thing I see, I didn't know that Charlie Kirk posthumously was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Mm-hmm. Now, come on now. Jesse Jackson and all these people before him did all kind of things just for freedom. This person, I don't understand. I just found out today that he got this medal. And I said, how the heck he gets a medal? Because of who his friend is, Donald Trump. And it doesn't make sense. And Jeff Webb is a mentor of this craziness, and nobody said nothing about him. So just keep that in mind as we go on to move forward on WWW Day, that it all is going to come out in the wash shortly.
All right. I appreciate your call, Ira. Let's get ready to take a break. It is Witness Warrior Wednesday. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich New Digger, said, I don't care. My
4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine, because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunity, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, that ACP people defense fund was together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this stuff.
hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality. Women.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. We are in critical times. Healthcare premiums are going up, oil and gas going up, all kinds of things that are costing us what we are comfortable to or what we were getting by. That's why I am asking you to be at the National Action Network Convention, where we're going to have leading political figures, leading civil rights leaders, leading activists, leading faith leaders, leading youth activists convene at the National Action Network Convention, April the 8th through the 11th, where we are going to strategize, hear the plenary sessions, question, and come out with how we back up this whole retrenchment of our rights and our ability to live. It's not just about rhetoric, it's about a strategy and get results. That's why we in National Action Network have always been on the front line, and we need you with us more now than ever. To register, all of our sessions are free. All of our sessions are free. To register, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Don't worry about how tough they are. Worry about how tough we must become. We never had a victory without a fight. It's time to strategize and fight back. Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. What I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke. Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And or you can go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And Sterling Burgess is saying on the message board that Rev. Dr. King was a radical and he was handled way more brutally than our Malcolm X. I think he was handled brutally, no question about it. Bombed his house 2 or 3 times, stabbed him once, and finally killed him. And he was a radical. He didn't believe in violence, but he certainly believed in systemic change. I totally agree with that analysis. The mayor, Rodney Jones, the mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York, says, I truly believe this conservative majority of SCOTUS will end mail-in voting and remove Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but Phil Collins said, I can feel it in the air. Well, if he does, we're going to have to really organize to get votes out because they will not be able to mail in, and they're going to try to change all these districts. Remal, that's an awesome task. How are we going to do that? Well, how did we get the right to vote in the first place? We organized, we agitated, we made sacrifices. Whatever they do will not determine the outcome. It's whatever we do that will determine the outcome. All right, let me go to Roger in Washington, D.C. Roger.
Reverend, hi, Reverend Al. This is my first-time caller.
Okay.
And we really appreciate you, Reverend Al. I had an idea that came to me this morning, and I know that you, National Action, you guys put a lot of weight. Those people that risk their time to get us for a TSA and don't have no money, I thought that we had a tip box at the end for showing appreciation, how they coming forward, helping us to catch these planes to go out where they need to go. That'll help them a lot to buy gas for their cars or whatever. But, you know, if they didn't make it to their jobs, we would have a difficult time catching the airlines. So I thought if you mentioned something like that and they would do that and they have a tip box, and at the end of the day, give them to split their money to those guys will help them out a whole lot for us getting back and forth to work. It's just a thought, Reverend Al.
I think the spirit of it is beautiful. I think it's a good idea, and the spirit of it is beautiful. I'm going to call the head of the union of government workers and ask him how we do that. Everett Kelly, he was on Politics Nation with me on, I believe, Sunday night. But, yeah, I love that. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Bob in Buffalo, New York. Bob, you keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir. Blessed love, Rev. A couple of thoughts. One, I think we need to push for automatic universal voter registration to get past all of these blockage they're trying to do for the voter registration. That's first thought. The second thought, I think we need to look at the comparison of what they're paying TSA and what they're paying ICE. What I heard is that TSA gets under $50,000 a year. ICE got a $50,000 bonus just for signing the piece of paper.
Wow! And
they make over $100,000 a year. So I think the comparison, you put your money on what you value. If TSA can only make $50,000 and ICE can get $50,000 just for signing on, there's a disparity that needs to be corrected.
All right. I love it. I love that. Thank you for your call. That's great info. James Thomas on the message board says, Rev, one of the women that I salute besides my wife and mother is Belinda Burton Watts. She's the wife of the late, great Sal Watts, who owned suit stores in the 70s, and she was in the civil rights movement. All right, James. Great shout out for her. Let's go to Cliff in Connecticut. I'll be in Connecticut tomorrow doing the eulogy on this young man killed by police in Hartford. But go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. That's the reason why I called. Listen, let me say this to that, and you're absolutely right in terms of the details. So you had other officers that responded, and they were doing everything they can, Rev, to try to de-escalate the situation, and that's what professional police officers do. Then you get this one cop that gets right on the scene, and then all of a sudden, to your point, now all of a sudden lets out 9 bullets and kills the guy. So, Rev, so listen, so here's the problem. When you deal with because I deal with this, here in Connecticut as well, police misconduct, they would say that it's up to the discretion of the police officer in terms of if their life is threatened. And then if they feel that way, then they can use deadly force to protect themselves. So here's the problem, Rev. All across the country, and not to mention that there was another incident of a mental health case in Hartford that preceded this, same thing. And then recently, as of this week, in New Haven, Connecticut, there was a police chase in which the suspect died in a crash. But nevertheless, here's my point. When it comes down to black police officers, right, confronted in the same situation, mental health or with a white criminal, why don't they use their discretion and take the lives of these white people? So either there ain't no criminals or black police officers get different training. This is the problem. And this should be brought up. So as you dealt with reparation, this should be brought up in terms of the disparity as it relates to black people.
It's a very good point.
If I'm making any sense.
Very good point. Thank you for your call. A very good point. I'll be doing that funeral tomorrow in Hartford, Connecticut. Let me go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Disco Brian, you're on Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton, Brian.
Delighted to be here, as always. Precious, sacred leader, Sharpton. I'm going to just name women. It's Women's History. We're running out of Women's History Month, so I just got to say Diana Ross, Shaka Khan, Dolly Parton, Taylor Swift, living legends of women's history, whereas one-hit wonders like Chappelle Roan and Nicki Minaj continue proving their irrelevance, and I apologize for saying those disgusting names on this sacred show. Rev, quick announcement. I just uploaded my conversation with a Pennsylvania State Senator, Sharif Street, who's running for Congress here in Pennsylvania's 3rd District. I asked him some sometimes awkward, but always human questions Tuesday before last, and have spent the past 2 weeks editing it, as I manically do, to add contextual clips and imagery into our conversation. We talk not just about policy solutions, which we hear everywhere in every podcast, but we talk about culture, and Sharif Street actually engages some of my existential dread the way you do, Rev. And spoiler alert, like you, Sharif Street actually stoked my hope fire. So it is on the Disco Brian Davis YouTube channel for anyone living in Philly who wants to check it out. It's called Can Democrats Beat the Algorithm? Sharif Street interview. And so, Rev, I'm just letting you just plug in myself. I hope that's okay.
That's
and
fine.
I just wanted to say that keeping it real is the antidote to cultish groupthink, which has overtaken far too much of what's called progressive or democratic media. Rev, last time we spoke, you called attention to the fact that you saw an absence of some progressive leaders who you thought might be at Reverend Jackson's funeral. And I just want you to know, I just got off the phone with Bernie Sanders' D.C. office to confirm, and indeed they did confirm that Bernie did not attend Reverend Jackson's funeral. And they interestingly they said they hope that I have a very, very good day before they hung up with me, which is an interesting thing to say to someone. But as we can see via social media, even though he couldn't make Reverend Jackson's funeral, he did make plenty of hour-long interviews with almost every major white male bigot podcaster in the manosphere, and he sure as hell made time for all those rallies and photo ops with Graham Plattner. I'm wondering, when is the Progressive Caucus going to say, you know what, Senator Sanders, thank you for your time, but, you know, let's put you out to pasture. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Love you so much.
All right,
Thank
take
you,
care of
thank you,
yourself. Let's take a break. I'm coming to more of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there.
and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength.
And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
Keeping It Real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. or you can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. Don't forget, if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice meetings that is temporarily at Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem, 137th Street between Lenox and 7th Avenues, or you can watch it live on our live stream, nationalactionnetwork.net, or Impact Television. Now, you're in the New York area, you need to be there. It's Women's History Month. We've got a huge message for you this Saturday and countdown to our convention. And then I'm leaving there going to join the No Kings March before going on to do my show. Talking about my show, make sure you watch. Over the weekend, I'm going to have some of the leaders of and the celebrities that are part of the No Kings March, and some of those that have some information on this president and what's really going on in Iran. And then, of course, National Action Network's convention. A lot of you have signed up, but some have not. And let me tell you something. Everybody you can think of, and I've only put out a partial list. We got to do another run today of different people. But I can tell you now, among those that are speaking or doing planning sessions there, Congressman Al Green of Texas, Governor of Illinois, the governor of Illinois, Governor Pritzker, the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro, the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, governor of, he was not governor, he was secretary under Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Congressman, like I said, Al Green, Congressman Jim Clyburn is coming. Martin Luther King III. The list goes on, and I have 4 or 5 that I have not dropped yet. I'm just running through this week. I'm giving you a little at a time. Register's all free. You should want to hear. Some of them are speaking, some are doing fireside chats. Our ministers' luncheon. We have one of the great ministers of this time doing the luncheon, Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley is going to be our preacher. We're honoring a group of people at our main dinner. Billy Porter is going to be at the main dinner. So you want to be in it and of it, but you got to register. And I'm going way over registration numbers that I set, but they just got back from the Sheraton. We expanded the rooms so we could take more. But you need to register before it gets physically impossible to take more. Go to nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. And I'm excited. All of the governors and members of Congress, all the governors particularly, and senators are all rumored to want to run for president in 28. Well, we'll see. But to have just that many governors, Governor Hochul, all of them coming and engaging in the fireside chats or the workshops or speaking, and I think that is good. Also, the NAACP has named former Department of Justice Civil Rights Chief Kirsten Clark as the general counsel now. And Derek Johnson, head of NAACP, called me Sunday night and told me they're going to do it. And I definitely supported that. That's a great job. I've known her since she was the head of civil rights in New York State. And then she went on to be the head of civil rights under the Biden administration. Very effective person. We need all hands on deck. I love that. Thank you, James Mitchell, that has been put out. Kennedy Marie Shabazz is saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. You are greatly appreciated. God bless you, and I love you. I need that. A lot of, people stop me sometime in the street or airport or something and say, I know you hear it all the time. I'm with you. No, I don't hear it all the time. I hear a lot of abuse and a lot of whatever, a lot. I like encouragement, and you should encourage whoever you feel worthy of encouragement. Encourage people. Don't be reluctant to do that. Encourage people. I believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell them, because I hate to be the person sitting around talking about, I wish I had said so-and-so. I wish I did so-and-so. Give people their credit when they do. All right, let me go to Frank, my ace Boone Coon in the west side of Chicago. He still insists it's the best side. Frank?
And forever will insist it's the best side. No why? Because there's many comprised of us. So that means you're on the south side, east side, or whatever you're at, y'all at the best side. How you doing, Reverend Al? Can you hear me okay?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great, too. Wow. Reverend Al, I share the same concerns about this Supreme Court and what they're about to do. I really do. I think they're going to do exactly what our biggest fears think they're going to do. Because when you think about it, it was this Supreme Court, these 6 Supreme Court justices, considered give them a 6-3 advantage when actually should be a 6-3 liberal judge on the bench. If you go back and think how they stole seats. But my phone call here, it was this Supreme Court that gave Donald Trump the swell here that he has, which is the power of a king. I mean, you talking about get rid of mail-in voting. Everyone can see this is all a fraud. There is no widespread voter fraud going on. But this is the conservative trying to maintain power and keep it forever.
Right.
Now, just like Lord how much this is going to change the true essence of voting. They already changed the true essence of this country. That's signified by changing our Department of Defense into the Department of War. That tell you right now. Look, we don't start wars. We're about defense, okay? But that's another subject right there. But Reverend, I'm looking like this, and everyone else, okay? Just like we went from knowing we got to get the House Representative, the Missouri House Representative. From that to understand, look, the damage this guy is doing, we can also take the Senate. So now we're moving in both those directions, get the House and the Senate. My point is this right here. Read what this Supreme Court is doing. If we get the power in both houses to impeach him in the House Representative and convict him in the Senate and throw him out of office, Reverend, I would be doing ourselves a half-full glass job for history to see that we didn't turn around, Reverend. Now we got to set some precedents ourselves.
Right.
We got to get rid of these six. We got to impeach these justices, Reverend. Now we really do, because it's not hard to see, understand why they don't care whether or not the stage is being set. They see this man trying to be 18. They don't care. They're conservative. That means conservative will always rule in this country. America will be apartheid America. So they in with it. We got to let history show that the people came out. There's no King's Rally. I'm going to be there. I wish you do no King's Week month. Yeah, but we can't run into the midterm, because he would love that to mess up the midterm.
Right.
But right now, we got to show before, we got to understand we need to dig in, and I don't care if history said, yeah, we got rid of all 6 of them in place with liberals. Now, we would have the House Representative, the Senate, and the White House when the time come around and put their butt in fear. But one thing they won't have to fear about, y'all, we would not be trying to take away their rights. We would not eliminate programming resources, you know what I'm saying, pretty much the people need, and with the millions of people not be losing their job. But we need to set a precedent. This Supreme Court judge, they have to go over now and last a lot of people before I hop off. If they do this and get away with it, and they still, the midterm, Reverend now, you mark my word. You can best believe this Supreme Court, 9, 6 being conservative, they are going to turn around and say it will not be unconstitutional for Donald Trump to run for a 3rd term, seeing how his terms were not consecutive. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, no doubt about it, Frank. Yeah, if they can get one more, if they can get the Congress to remain where it is, they will take that kind of vote and try to change the Constitution, and their right-wing Supreme Court will uphold it. That's why we got to bust it up. It's in our hands. It's in our hands.
That's right. Right now, the ball's not here. We can't drop the ball, y'all. Hey, Reverend, now, I love you. Love everyone else. I'll talk to you next time,
All right.
okay? First one, last time.
Always glad
Thank
to
you,
hear
Reverend.
your voice. Let me take my break, and I'm coming back to more of you on the phone and you that are on the message board. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. We are in critical times. Healthcare premiums are going up, oil and gas going up, all kinds of things that are costing us what we are comfortable to or what we were getting by. That's why I am asking you to be at the National Action Network Convention, where we're going to have leading political figures, leading civil rights leaders, leading activists, leading faith leaders, leading youth activists convene at the National Action Network Convention, April the 8th through the 11th, where we are going to strategize, hear the plenary sessions, question, and come out with how we back up this whole retrenchment of our rights and our ability to live. It's not just about rhetoric, it's about a strategy and get results. That's why we in National Action Network have always been on the front line, and we need you with us more now than ever. To register, all of our sessions are free. All of our sessions are free. To register, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Don't worry about how tough they are. worry about how tough we must become. We never had a victory without a fight. It's time to strategize and fight back.
And so I now have the pleasure of bringing on the mentor of Black America's Attorney General, the fount of this, Reverend Al Sharpton, who is for 4 decades a central figure in the U.S. struggle for racial justice from the streets to the Senate, a civil rights leader, founder of the National Action Network, and of course, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that I'm going to be very personal in the sense that I came to the UN 30-some-odd years ago with a great African leader. I was part of the delegation with Nelson Mandela when he addressed the General Assembly about sanctions in South Africa. I come many times since then, and I'm here today because I believe another great African leader, President Muhammad, is raising an issue that is very important and personal to us. As Attorney Crump has said, we have fought on many cases, and I'm doing a eulogy tomorrow, day after tomorrow, of a young man killed in Hartford, Connecticut. But all of these are just examples of a systemic problem that has not been dealt with. We can keep running from incident to incident, but if we do not deal with the underlying systematic problem, and that is that there are those that feel they have the right and the supremacy over other humans, and they will never be held accountable for it and never pay for it. This resolution is an attendance sheet on what nations stand for what. This is not a new call. I come out of the Martin Luther King School of Thought, but Malcolm X said we may have to go to the UN. One of his main disciples, Dr. James Smalls, is with us. Queen Mother Moore said this. Queen Mother Blakely
Keeping it
said, Sister,
real.
I don't
Keeping
come
it
with
real.
others that have not. Sister Salam.
I am your host.
These are people that...
Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I just can't. I know one of the callers mentioned about the voting. I think Frank also mentioned that they would take away our rights to vote and our voter protection, and we need to mobilize and be ready. And I totally agree. And I also remind you, as I said at the top of the show, Donald Trump and the Save America bill is trying to end mail-in voting when he just mail-in voted in the Mar-a-Lago race for his local district and lost. The Democrat beat his Republican candidate, and he mailed in. He didn't go to the polls. He mailed it in according to the written records in that county in Florida. I think it's Palm Springs County or West Palm County, one of the two. I was just down there during the wedding. And about the wedding I did was about 3-4 miles from Mar-a-Lago. So I know the county. And he lost the county. People are looking at gas prices, prices of groceries, looking at the TSA workers and how people are lined up 4 and 5 hours. And that is all about Donald Trump's policies. All right, 1-877-532-5797. Kathleen Parks is on a message board saying, greetings from Louisville, Kentucky chapter. And your governor's going to be here, Governor Bashir. Some say he may run for president. Governor Bashir is coming for the convention, Kathleen. And, I brag about you and the chapter there, and Reverend Malone and others are there in Louisville. But you, the energy with Louisville chapter of National Action Network. A lot of people. I'm gonna make sure I deal with this weekend on Politics Nation. This latest twist with Breonna Taylor and them letting this cop not having to stand trial. This administration just outright, boom, just throw it out. Nope, he ain't got to go to the federal charge of killing Breonna Taylor because he was in the wrong apartment. And our chapter there was involved in that fight. We had the big march, and Breonna's mother has come and marched with us and been with us. I don't drop cases until we get justice, and I don't drop families until even after we get justice. I think it's just part of my commitment. Let's go to Fred in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Fred, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, no, I just wanted to add to some of the conversation as far as when it comes to voting. We have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And the time is now for, the people to go to, find out how to register to vote. They can go through their city, county, or state election commission. We need to get the black churches involved and registering people to vote, so they can start now. They got to get a copy of a birth certificate. If we can do whatever to get ahead of the game as far before the midterm. We got the NAACP, we got the Urban League, we have all these different agencies. The Democratic Party, they should be listing a number that they can call. Hopefully your show, both shows, can list, hey, call this number, find out where you need to vote. So like I think it was in Texas where people showed up to the voting poll and they were turned away because they weren't in the right place. So with all the stuff, we have to prepare ahead of time. Now's the time to register because you don't want to wait till October and they tell you, well, it'll be 6 months, or 6 weeks before we get your copy of the birth certificate. So they have to start doing it now. The fraternities and sororities at the black colleges. So these kids who are eligible to vote, a lot of them for the first time, they know what they need to do if they're out of the state that they live in. So they know how to properly do it. But we have to have if you want to say, sack this thing because, all the other issues don't matter if we don't get control of the Congress and the Senate because he's going to go, but wow, if he still has control. And I was listening to a show the other day. They said when we think we're at the bottom, there's some knocking on the floor, and it's even lower. So we got to get ready and prepare all this stuff. And then the last thing I was going to say to you, Reverend Sharpton, is the gentleman called about law enforcement and the training. Yeah, the training is all the same, but the mindset is different.
Right.
Where you still have officers that come into a community where they come in like they're policing a zoo. They have no vested interest in the community because they don't live in the community. They, their family don't go to school in the community. They're just doing it for a job. So, if it gets better or not, they can care less. And so there's rules, but again, after the training's over, it's all the same. But now you get with those different groups. That's why Trump's looking at, doing what they call it, for Breonna Taylor, because law enforcement predominantly is vote Republican, across the nation. So he's trying to appeal to them, like throwing them crumbs, like, hey, I did this and I'm looking out for you. He's not looking at the facts or that they're wrong or anything like that. So, we just have to prepare, and we have to do it now. You can call your city, state, or local government election commission. They do training. They show you so you know what paperwork you need to do. So if it changes at the last minute, it'll be unreasonable for the court to say, oh, well, we changed it effective, a month before the election, because there's no time for people to prepare. But again, we have to start doing now because we don't know what they're going to do.
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think people need to understand that they will play tricks. Get it done now, and if we get it done now, and we go out there, that's going to be one of the big things coming out of National Action Network's convention. It's one of the things I'm going to be stressing to people when I speak at the No Kings March in the city here on Saturday. We've got to do this now. And because we cannot leave anything to chance, nothing to chance. Let's go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Raj. Is Raj there? I do not hear Raj.
Okay, let's move on, sir.
Let me go on to Yessie in Atlanta, Georgia. Yessie.
Wonderful day to you, General Al. Glad you're doing well.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off with an apology. I alluded to violence, though I didn't necessarily mean violence the last time I was able to communicate on your platform. So I apologize. I'm not a violent man.
All right. Apology accepted. I just know how they monitor these shows and these radio stations. I don't want them using, and I don't know you as a violent person from calling, but they will take anything and distort it and put it all over Fox News. Sharpton had people saying to take people out permanently. Boom. And I'll be spending the next year trying to explain that.
And I'm going to take all that pressure off of you, Reverend Al, in that the reason I was that passionate that day, a lot of people don't believe in the signs that God can show his people. And I'm not boastful. I'm not trying to boast that I'm God's chosen people or anything of that nature. Not in the text of above anyone. However, I can say that I believe I've seen signs from our Heavenly Father that indicate we need to pay far more attention to what the present regime is showing us their character are. And they've been showing us their ability to rain down fire from the sky as if they were God. They've been publicizing this on the devices that we use, on the televisions that we watch. And they want us to all have a mark and be unable to do anything unless it's by their mark, by their command. And there's another mark that's talked about in there that is the mark that God will put in his own children's head. And I'm not a superstitious person. I've seen signs before, but I'm still not a superstitious person.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'd like to share that with you in that this is, I believe, why our ministers are in place right now. This is where the rubber meets the road, because there is, in prophecy, this reality. What's you, Reverend Al?
I think you're right. I mean, I think, first of all, any of us that worship at any of any religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, believes in clear levels of prophecy. And that does not make you spooky or not make you or me or anybody else like we're trying to be more than we are. And even if you don't, there are some things that you instinctively feel. Where does that come from? Some things that you illuminate in your mind, where does that come from? You know, you can just get a thought and don't know why you got that thought and end up it be manifested in your reality. And I think that your analysis of where we are is exactly where we are. And that's nothing spooky or saying you're chosen, but people can see things. And I do not dismiss that. I embrace that, particularly when we're in a foggy time and we need some people that give some sunlight. But I thank you for your call, and I thank you for clearing up because I know you not to be a violent man. We don't talk about violence, but I know that's not your spirit. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
National Action Network. Power in action. 35 years of justice, impact, and purpose.
Wow. This is the Saturday after I had done 90 days in federal jail for leading a protest in Vieques, Puerto Rico. And I had went down to join Latino activists that were against the Navy bombings that was exercising Navy bombings that was causing asthma and health effects among the children there. And I was on my way to Saturday rally one Saturday, and I said, if they're going down there protesting that, and they were protesters, they would go out in the Navy base in the field and lay down, and they'd arrest them for being on federal property. And if they were doing that, then I would join them, because many of the Latino leaders went to jail with us protesting Amadou Diallo. I ended up having to do 90 days in federal jail. They transferred me from the federal prison in Puerto Rico, me and 3 others that went. They only got 40 days. They said because had a long sheet that they was of many other civil rights arrests, they gave me 90 days. I had to do 50 by myself. When I got out and went to the Saturday rally, Stephanie Mills, who we'd known each other since we were kids, she was there and sang at the rally that Saturday. That's her singing Home, as soon as I get home. One, she knew I loved the song, but 2, it was appropriate because I was coming home. And we won that. They closed the Navy base in Vieques, Puerto Rico. You go there now, there's buildings and condos and a little plaque for the 4 of us. They call the Vieques 4. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected, dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know.
1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And I see Trisha's on the board saying that's the problem of having a cabinet full of very wealthy individuals. They have no idea of the daily struggle of how people live on the margins. And I think that's a profound point that her and Joanne are making. People that have a certain level of income, certain wealth, making decisions for everyday people that are doing all they can just to make ends meet. Don't make them bad people, but it makes them limited in their sensitivity to the policies they're instituting. And I've been both broke and been in a position of making a living. And I'm telling you, you think differently. And people, I'm not rich, but people that are rich just assume. I was talking to a guy the other night, and I said, man, this is terrible, what they're doing to the TSA workers. And I said, I'm travel a lot. I just don't even fathom how they're doing this to these people, not being able to get paid and having to get us through airports. He said, well, just fly private, Rev Mal. And I said, well, wait a minute. I have friends sometimes that let me hold their plane when I have to do something and come right back, or it's a brutality case or something, and I go do the funeral, come right back. But I don't have no private plane nor that use that kind of money. But why would you just act like it's nothing? Because that's how he lives. Now, going to Trisha's point, if that's how he thinks, he's sitting in a cabinet meeting, he won't think any differently about whether TSA workers cannot get paid, it don't matter. Because in his mind, he has options that we don't have. I think that's a good point. Let's go to Reverend Johnson in Richmond, Virginia. Reverend Johnson. I don't hear Reverend Johnson.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to jump on good afternoon, Rev. I just wanted to jump on and say very quickly, when you have a president like we have who's not leading by example for our youth, I want to say to you, Rev, much respect to you, and I'm coming on this afternoon as a young voice to say this. My generation is tired of noise. We're looking for the truth. We don't need louder leaders. We need better ones. Leaders with integrity, leaders with purpose. I grew up hearing about Martin Luther King Jr., and one thing is clear. Truth doesn't change just because it's inconvenient. So I'm calling on young people, don't follow the hype, follow your purpose. Don't chase the attention, chase the impact, and never trade your integrity for this spotlight. We're not just the future, we're right now, and we're ready to lead better.
I love it. Thank you for that, Reverend. We needed to hear that. I see on the message board, Rodney Jones, the mayor, says that Charlemagne the God called out Trump on the Breakfast Club about his comments about Robert Mueller. Remember, we all have an end date. Treat people as you would want to be treated. Yeah, I mean, I let me tell you something. I've been out here over 5 decades as a public figure. Probably more than that because I started preaching when I was 4 years old in public at my home church, Washington Temple Church of God in Christ. And I have never seen anybody that I could think of that publicly said, I'm glad somebody's dead. Now, people might have said things privately that's cold, but here is a man got on social media as president of the United States and said to man, I'm glad he's dead. Because the man investigated him, I guess. Now, I've been arrested over 30 times at demonstrations, spent nights in jail, spent one time 3 months in jail, another 2 times 45 months for leading nonviolent marches. I was prosecuted because I stood up for Tawana Brawley and won the case. And I don't wish them prosecutors or the people that put me in jail, I don't wish them dead. I disagree with them. They did what they felt was right. I did what I felt was right. God bless them. God tried to kill me, stab me. I don't wish him dead. And he tried to kill me. So I use myself as an example so you don't think I'm just talking. I'm talking about what I think. So I can't fathom what kind of mind would publicly say, Mayor Jones, I'm glad he's dead. That's a whole different level of illness to me. Let's go to Tim in Brooklyn, New York. Tim?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Reverend. Hey, Rev.
Hey.
Listen, I just want to let you know I'll see you at the convention.
I'm looking for you, Tim.
Okay. Listen, I'm just, for the last couple of days, I've been watching the news, and this world is just a circus. Now, how is it you got Russia helping Iran with the surveillance of American soldiers? But Trump said he was our friend.
Right.
And the media is not hitting on that, not giving that much attention at all.
Right.
I don't understand that, Rev. I don't.
And they're trying to ignore it and trying to act like we are crazy. And I think that one of the reasons I do radio every day and do television, national television, twice a week, my show and Morning Joe and Nicole Wilder's other, I do on 3 or 4 times a week, is to try to wake people up. And I think that it is scary how we sitting around accepting this. To normalize insanity will make you insane. To normalize crazy will make you crazy. Even if you can't do nothing about the craziness, you need to at least say that's crazy. And that's if it's the president or if it's somebody in your job or on your job, somebody in your house. Crazy is crazy. Don't act like crazy is normal. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Portland, Oregon to Pharrell. Pharrell, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello. Hey, I'm glad I'm talking with you.
Glad to have you.
Hey, Rev, thank you. Rev, my situation is this. It's all mixed up in my head. I'm 78 years old, and this president that's going on right now is all the way crazy. He wants his name on everything.
Right.
I mean, he's going berserk. And what I'm looking at now is through the years, if you look at control, he wants his name on everything. If you look and see where his sons and his son-in-law is buying all this property, once that area gets blown up like he's doing now, they're going to have to fix it. Then he can come in with his golf courses and hotels and casinos and have his name all over the place. That's what I'm looking at it. And, you know, for him to, for the people in the house not to see what's going on, he's trying to control that area. He's buying everything he can buy. His sons are going crazy. What do you think about that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think I think he's operating that if you flood the news, just keep throwing stuff out there, that people won't see how insane. I mean, I've got to say it that way. They call it flood the zone. Just throw out everything. 2 or 3 times a day, he's got a new thing he puts out there. And we start normalizing, oh, that's Trump. No, that's the President of the United States. That's the guy holding government. There's ramifications for that. And I think you're absolutely right. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Is Rachel on a Zoom or something?
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go. Guys, what's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. We are in critical times. Healthcare premiums are going up, oil and gas going up, all kinds of things that are costing us what we are comfortable to or what we were getting by. That's why I am asking you to be at the National Action Network Convention, where we're going to have leading political figures, leading civil rights leaders, leading activists, leading faith leaders, leading youth activists convene at the National Action Network Convention, April the 8th through the 11th, where we are going to strategize, hear the plenary sessions, question, and come out with how we back up this whole retrenchment of our rights and our ability to live. It's not just about rhetoric, it's about a strategy and get results. That's why we in National Action Network have always been on the front line. and we need you with us more now than ever. To register, all of our sessions are free. All of our sessions are free. To register, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Don't worry about how tough they are. Worry about how tough we must become. We never had a victory without a fight. It's time to strategize and fight back.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality. Women.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. Wow. South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started
Reverend.
Yeah.
And James had died while I knew about it in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came to me in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helped me push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 40 years?
Keeping it real.
He said, I told you.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let me go to Richmond, Virginia, to Sly. Sly, you keeping it real with it, Sharpton.
Yes, Mr. Sharpton, this is what I would like to say. First of all, when Donald Trump had the meeting with Japan Prime Minister on last week, and he made a joking matter stating that Japan is full of surprises in reference to the Pearl Harbor. That was not a joking matter, because you know what came from that? When Japan them attacked Pearl Harbor, it was World War II.
World War II came from that, that's right.
Yeah, and so you really got to read between the line what Donald Trump is indicating here, because, you know, he's trying to empower Russia and he's trying to empower China. So with that being said, I won't be surprised if Donald Trump really fooling everybody, deceiving us that he's trying to eradicate the situation going on in Iran with the nuclear war, when he really, his mission is to be the one that start World War III, because he's known. Look what he did to the West Wing or the East Wing. I forgot which one he destroyed. The Gaza situation, how he blew that up, and then Venezuela, now Iran. This man is all about himself. And although he's a businessman, he's not about the American people. He's not about our democracy. So we need to take note of that. We really need to know he get ready to try this, because he basically stated at that meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan and laughed about it, but now he's like, yeah, I'm going to be the one to start World War III. I'm just thinking that. And then with this TSA, Transportation Security Administration, he is basically going to eliminate that job title for people and place ICE in there. And not only that, if you can pay the ICE people, plus getting somebody, I think one of your callers stated that they're getting like $50. They're starting off at $50,000, then they're getting a $50,000 bonus just to work there at the airports and, you know, and everything. So why you cannot pay the TSA? I'm not understanding. This man clearly is trying to destroy our democracy, and that's just like the Constitution state that Congress was the one that got to take a vote on when we go to war. He is a one-man show. He doesn't want us involved in what he's doing. And I just don't understand. You got all these scholars, people that are in the political arena that went to all these prestigious colleges, Yale, Princeton, you name all these, and they're your Republicans. How are they? They do not, I really believe the Republican Party does not have a conscience about how he's bringing down the United States of America. And still, he's sending out immigrants. It's not as much now, but you know what? Al Sharpton, I had called your show once before, and I'm still seeing these planes that are gray with an American flag. They have no writing, and they said that they are transporting people from like Dubai and all them coming in the United States and taking over the United States. Really, we need to pay attention to, like I had called once before about the sleeper cell, but right now he's tinkling with trying to start World War III. And you know he's crazy, and you know he's going to do with everything within his power to take that and make it a reality. And now look, they got missiles flying over there in Iran. They got missiles everywhere. What makes you think the United States is not going to experience another Pearl Harbor? We're going to have missiles coming in here soon.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me read off our message board. James Thomas is saying, Rev, I saw a commercial of a play that they're having at the Kennedy Center, and the bottom of my television was the name Trump Kennedy Center at the bottom. Just a disgrace and a shame on the director. Wow. And I think they're trying to close for 2 years because they can't keep enough stuff going in there. Tricia is saying they evacuated the North Park Mall here in Dallas.
They said it was possibly a threat. They've evacuated the mall and told people to stay away. Traffic will be a nightmare this evening. You in Dallas, be very careful if you are using any of the highways or roads that are around North Park. I know North Park from going to Dallas. So, Tricia, thank you for sending that in and letting me put that out there because we have a lot of Dallas listeners. All right, let me go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing this afternoon, Rev?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm trying to make it by the grace of God. Yeah, I was thinking about that Iran war. I was going to warn the people that who have loved ones in the military that they ain't gonna get they're not gonna get the correct information from these people about the death toll, and then they're gonna be talking about and so if you got loved ones in the military, I want especially our people, I want them to mark them and make sure people know that they loved ones have been shipped over there, because they're not gonna give the correct information about the death toll. They gonna come out and say stuff like, "Oh, they left and went AWOL and they got with their girlfriend and they went somewhere and we can't find them." That's when the people start asking about their loved ones. That's what they're gonna start telling them. They're gonna start saying, "Oh, they left because they went AWOL and we can't find them, so they ain't never went over there." Because we couldn't, they're going to stop making up. Because these people they're not going to give correct information about the death toll. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? So if people got loved ones over there, keep an eye and make sure it's documented that other people in your family or in your community know that your loved one went over there. You know what I'm saying? So I already know what these people... I know the end game of these people. I've been talking to you for the last few years about this man, and I already know what his end game is. And I just want to say one other thing. Did you see the interview with Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee?
No. What happened?
Where Tucker Carlson was asking Mike Huckabee about, well, why are y'all over here in this country, talking about Israel in that area, Iran and all, the Middle Eastern area. And why are y'all doing all this? Well, and he said, well, Huckabee was telling them about that the Bible told them that this and that and the other thing about, you got to bless these people. But in the Bible, it clearly states that in the days that it shall be revealed that it's a people that's in the land of Israel that are not who they say they are. It's clearly in the Bible. Now, if they don't like what I'm saying, the next thing they're going to have to start doing is they're going to have to start banning portions of the Bible. Because the Bible clearly states that there's going to be people in that land that will claim that they are the chosen people of that land. And they are not. The Bible says that. I don't say that. You know what I'm trying to say? So what I'm trying to say is that Tucker Carlson and it's a lot of them on the right now asking questions. Now, wait a minute now. How do European people all of a sudden become Semites? Semitic people are not white people. The word Semite is the definition of Semite is Afro-Asiatic. That's the legal dictionary definition of Semite. You know what I'm saying? So it's just amazing to me that you have people on nationwide TV and they're supposed to act like they're so smart and so intelligent and can't read the Bible and just know the definition of words And you know, and that's what I'm saying. This thing.
No,
all
I hear you. And let me say this: I'm a preacher, been with since I was a kid, but we don't live in a theocracy. We live in a democracy, and you and I have the right to live by the Bible, but we do not make the Bible the law of the land any more than we want the Torah or the or the Muslim Bible, the Quran. But we should have the right to practice it and believe what we believe. I thank you for your call, because I think it's important we make that distinction. And whether you call it anti-Semitism, anti-black, anti-Jewish, any group of people based on who they are, in my judgment, is wrong and wicked. I'm not going to argue about whether they call themselves properly. It still doesn't justify hate and hate crimes against anybody. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. She's doing her Zoom call in there.
And so I now have the pleasure of bringing on the mentor of Black America's Attorney General, the fount of this, Reverend Al Sharpton, who is for 4 decades a central figure in the U.S. struggle for racial justice, from the streets to the Senate, a civil rights leader, founder of the National Action Network, and of course, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that I'm going to be very personal in the sense that I came to the UN 30-some-odd years ago with a great African leader. I was part of the delegation with Nelson Mandela when he addressed the General Assembly about sanctions in South Africa. I come many times since then, and I'm here today because I believe another great African leader, President Muhammad, is raising an issue that is very important and personal to us. As Attorney Crump has said, we have fought on many cases, and I'm doing a eulogy tomorrow, day after tomorrow, of a young man killed in Hartford, Connecticut. But all of these are just examples of a systemic problem that has not been dealt with. We can keep running from incident to incident, but if we do not deal with the underlying systematic problem, and that is that there are those that feel they have the right and the supremacy over other humans, and they will never be held accountable for it and never pay for it. This resolution is an attendance sheet on what nations stand for what. This is not a new call. I come out of the Martin Luther King School of Thought, but Malcolm X said we may have to go to the UN. One of his main disciples, Dr. James Smalls, is with us. Queen Mother Moore said this. Queen Mother Blakely's here. Sister, I don't come with others that have not. Sister Salam. These are people that have been in the streets for decades. And State Senator Sanders, all of us, but many of them preceding me. The question is not what the people feel. The people have stated their feelings and will continue to and must galvanize. The question is, what do nations stand for? When I hear nations saying they're going to abstain from a vote, how do you abstain from being a racist and a bigot? How do you abstain from paying your debt to people that you worked for centuries and never paid? How do you abstain from the guilt and the blood that's on your hands while you deposit money in banks that your forefathers didn't earn and our forefathers worked and never got paid? Your Excellency, I say it's personal because in 2007, A reporter came to me from a local tabloid, the Daily News, and said that they were doing something around Black History Month in America. And they wanted to do a trace of our family tree. I told him, fine with me. He said, I'll be back. He came back with another reporter. He said, do you know your great-grandfather? I said, no, I knew my grandfather on my father's side. I didn't know my great-grandfather. He said, well, we traced him. He said, do you know where he was from? I said, they were from Florida, my grandfather and my father. He said, no, they were from Edgefield, South Carolina. I said, no, I never knew that. He said, your great-grandfather was named Coleman Sharpton, and he was owned by a woman named Anna Thurman Sharpton. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurmond, a leading segregationist. He said Anna Thurman Sharpton was the aunt to Strom Thurmond, a leading segregationist. He said the reason we found it is that when Alexander Sharpton died, his widow, Anna Thurman, sold her slaves to Florida, who was your great-grandfather. That's only 3 generations from me. We talk about this stuff like this is some bygone generation. My mother had to sit in the back of the bus and couldn't help me with homework when she came to Brooklyn, New York, had me. I never sat in the back of a bus, but I was raised by them that never got paid for what was done. We are sitting in the United Nations, but it is in the United States where they're right now deciding whether they will continue to allow us to vote properly. They're going to vote on whether or not we are going to have our right to voting, our right to redress. And if the United Nations sends a resounding message on President's resolution that we don't care about the debt owed, you are signaling those that are trying to trump the world that you can do whatever you want to do to us. So my challenge is, and the experts have given the great background and the preceding speakers have given the facts, but my appeal is that you will not define our humanity. You will define where you stand for humanity. When you vote for your nation, history will record that after the genocide perpetrated on people, after the worst form of abuse that we've seen in terms of the slave trade that is in this resolution, that if your nation would authorize you to either vote no or have laryngitis and act like you can't speak up at all, then you are co-signing this brutal form of slavery. There will be nobody that will duck being called on the carpet tomorrow. Either you stand for justice or you sit with the unrighteous. Either you stand... Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me again repeat by way of announcements, don't forget, and not only you not forget, but tell your relatives and friends and co-workers to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. I mean, with all that's going on, the war in Iran, the TSA workers out, the right to vote and the protection of the vote hanging on a string in the Supreme Court and is being directly attacked by this Trump administration trying to pass the SAVE Act. You can't afford to take weekends off, which is why I do the rallies and do TV and radio. Because they can't catch us asleep. We must be alert. Support Politics Nation. Watch it.
I only have people in the middle of those power circles that can answer the questions as it relates to us. So make sure you watch it every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tell all your friends, your relatives, your kids. I have a brother that stopped me that's from Beaumont, Texas, and said that he made his son watch Politics Nation. He said, son said, why are you making me watch this? He said, you live in this house, you're going to watch it. He said by the second week, his son was telling him, man, let's watch Politics Nation. I didn't know all of that was going on. And that's what I'm talking about. You get them there, I'll keep them there. Also, you that are in the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at our temporary location, Mother AME Zion Church, historic church in Harlem, where the Church of Frederick Douglass, church is 40-some years old. And Frederick Douglass spoke at the church. Sojourner Truth changed her name from her slave name to Sojourner Truth at that church. Paul Robeson was a member of that church. His brother was one of the pastors. Madam C.J. Walker had her funeral at that church by her request. So we stand on those sacred grounds every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., to give the update and the message on where we are as a people. Join us if you're in the tri-state area. Come and be there with us at Mother AME Zion, 137th between 7th and Lenox. If you're not in the New York area, you can watch it on Impact Television or at our live stream on nationalactionnetwork.net or YouTube/NAN. The convention. I've already given a lot of names out, from the governors to the mayors, but also Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and Jonathan Capehart and Lawrence O'Donnell all will be there. I'm going to drop some new names by Friday. But believe me, you're going to want to be there. It is free. And I'm giving my staff a fit because we are way over what I usually allocate in terms of pre-registration, because we know we get walk-up. But I got bigger rooms because this is serious times, and we need to take them seriously. They are April 8th through the 11th at the Sheraton Times Square. The sessions are free. The workshops are free. But you should register. And register by going to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or go to the toll-free number, 1-877-626-4651. Why register? Because if a room fills up, we always hold 20, 30 seats and say to the people lined up, are you pre-registered? And we hit it right on the computer. If you are, you get the priority seats. We try to be diligent with those that are diligent with us. All right, let's go to Mrs. Jones in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Word. Mrs. Jones?
Yes, thank you so much for taking my call, Rev. On this Wednesday, Witness Warrior, and your daughter calls it wellness as well. And I know you're pressing.
Talk up. You're a little low.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Oh, great. Yes, thank you so much. There's so much going on, and I agree with you as to watching your show. If you can't watch it, please tape it, because Rev is serious about everything he does, very professional, and I could go on and on. But time is of the essence. And what I wanted to say was it is still blowing my mind that, first of all, that he supposedly had won the 2024 election. If BP had more votes than any president ever had, I still ask myself, what happened? Other than they stole this election because he and Musk needed to stay out of jail. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. But most importantly, what they should do, and I know it's not going to happen because, as one of your callers said, that he cares more about himself and just being in power. They should put the same energy behind the Affordable Care Act. to reinstate over 2 million people who have lost their health care. But yet he's going to block the votes of voters and want to try to get this crazy bill passed. It shows you where their interest is. And also he's not concerned about the TSA workers going without pay because he doesn't believe in paying his own bills. And for people to be so deceived as to whether or not he's going to lower the price of groceries, and that's why he was voted in as a convicted felon, something is seriously wrong with the 2024 election. That's what we should be questioning as well. And we really have to get on board and do something to make sure that we are participating and saving our democracy, and to really pay attention as to what's going on. This is no time to sit back because, if we remember, finally, he told us in 2024, we were a witness, that if you vote for me, you will never have to vote again. So whatever they're cooking up, they have been cooking up this along with Project 25, but this was the unwritten information that it didn't include publicly, but he did say, if you vote for me, you would never have to vote again. So we must keep that in mind. So the Supreme Court and Congress, the Republicans in Congress and the Senate, they are cooking up something, especially after that win in Florida. They're going to tamper with our election coming up. But we, the people, as you said, we must get out and prevent and organize this from happening, because we are not stupid. We are.
That's right. That's right.
And last but not least, the Senate, please call Republican senators as well as Democrats, 202-224-3121. And the White House at 202-456-1111. You do get a live operator there at the White House. Whether or not they listen to the messages or not, we must do everything we can. And everybody can find something to do. Like you said the other day, there's plenty to do. So we must find where we fit in. And last but not least, shouts go out to Lola. Haven't heard from Lola for a while. We love your audience, and when we don't hear from people, we get concerned. But
I do too. Yeah, Lola called me. Let us know you're all right. And those numbers again, 202-456-1414 is the White House number. It's been like that since I was born. And 202-224-3121 is the Congress. And then once you get connected to the switchboard at the White House or the Congress, then you can ask at the switchboard, you want to talk to the president's office and state your claim. You get connected to the Congress, ask for your congressperson or your senator. Those are the general numbers. I think that is absolutely necessary, Mrs. Jones, that you give us that admonishment.
Thank you. And the number I also call on a regular basis, 202-456-1111. Just talk to at least 4 people today after nonsense about bombing is a part of a negotiation, and that's how we negotiate. The ignorance. And it's sad that our minds have to even go to this level to address these things, because there are so many major things that we're used to, addressing, and our presidents are so much more brilliant, and to have to deal with folks who are wishing people dead and all that nonsense. We wish we didn't have to go there, but we have to do what we have to do. Thanks, Red, for your time. We love you dearly. Thanks for all that you do.
All right, thank you. Love you back, and I really appreciate your information. Well, I'm at the end of the show. I hear the music. I want to thank all of you that called in, you that listened in, you that listened in and couldn't get through on this newly named Witness Warrior Wednesday. I like that. Somebody started that today. I'm going to keep that. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk